This sorrowful story will be about Russian girl Ekaterina, who once got lost and was never found alive. The disappearance of 32-year-old St. Petersburg resident Ekaterina Bauman for a whole month was a big mystery for the German police and concerned people from Russia and the entire internet. For 10 years, the woman lived a happy and carefree life with her husband, Walter, or so it seemed at first glance. On that fateful night, Ekaterina vanished without a trace, leaving her 5-year-old daughter all alone. How did this happen? Let's figure it out. Before we begin the story, dear viewer, you can support this channel with likes or comments. It would be a great help in its development. Thank you and take care of yourself. Ekaterina Bauman née Balgova was born in 1989 in St. Petersburg. She graduated from Peter the Great Polytechnic University and later worked as an editor. Walter, born in 1979, was originally named Vanya. Changing names is common in Germany. It's easier to build a career and people find it easier to address you in a German way, said Alexander, a close friend of Walter. Walter struggled to find a successful personal life until he met Katya. Well-mannered, educated, and radiant, she immediately captured his heart. Walter was quite picky about his future partner. He was looking for an ideal and found it in Katya. They met in Turkey, where Ekaterina went on vacation with her brother. Walter was on vacation alone, although he often traveled with his parents. One morning after their vacation in Turkey, the couple continued their communication from afar. They spent hours talking on the phone and writing poems to each other. After some time, the man started coming to St. Petersburg. A year later, Walter brought the girl to Germany and helped her enroll in a local institute. This was followed by a lavish wedding, according to a friend of the groom. The celebration was very expensive, with the registration taking place at a lighthouse. From there, they left in a large white carriage with horses, but there were very few guests, which seemed strange. After the celebration, the newlyweds settled in Walter's parents' house. He was already over 30 but still studying. In his opinion, it was more profitable. He was starting to be a food technologist but worked at the port. Long-term studies also allowed him to avoid paying taxes. Life under one roof with his mother-in-law proved to be difficult. She abused Katya with overprotectiveness and control over her son. All this led to frequent scandals in the house. So the couple decided to move to another house in 2017. It was located in the quiet street of Bremerhaven. Neighbors remember Katya as an intelligent and cheerful girl. She continued her studies in business administration, loved running and practicing yoga. Ekaterina also maintained contact with her relatives from Russia. From the perspective of family life, she seemed calm and happy, but what was actually happening? In 2016, Ekaterina and Walter had a daughter. When Katya disappeared, she was 5 years old. Katya's marriage began to turn into a real hell 2 years after the birth of the child. This was revealed later during the trial and statements from close friends and acquaintances of the family. The family often had arguments, ordinary domestic ones, but their frequency was a small warning sign. Katya also didn't like that Walter's mother continued to interfere in their marriage even after the move. It seemed that the mother-in-law didn't like Katya, her approach to housework, raising the child, and her very attitude towards Walter. In late 2019, the first complaints of domestic violence were filed, but the couple was able to convince the social worker that everything was getting better in the family, but that was far from the truth. The couple continued to have arguments even in front of the child. Katya's sleep was disrupted due to stress, and Walter secretly recorded their arguments on his phone as evidence. He even sought help from a computer expert to hack Katya's phone, but the expert refused. Walter accused Katya of being a bad mother with psychological problems. Katya didn't like that Walter spent little time with the family and worked too much. The conflicts intensified. The husband beat Katya and took her documents. Since 2019, the local police have regularly visited their home. Katya went to a local women's shelter where victims of domestic violence could live, but she repeatedly returned home. According to the curator, this was due to her running out of money. She was torn between staying with her husband or leaving him. In the summer of 2021, she told her mother that she wanted to divorce and asked for financial support. She then looked for an apartment in other cities but never managed to move. Katya agreed to let the youth services take her daughter under temporary guardianship, but Walter and his mother were against it. The subsequent period when they were living together again ended up very soon. The divorce was brought up again. However, Walter didn't want to let go of his beloved daughter. If Katya decided to live without her, Walter agreed. Therefore, at turn of 2021-2022, Ekaterina flew to St. Petersburg. She had met a man online who was from Omsk and worked as a pilot. In mid-January 2022, Katya returned to Germany more confident and open. She wanted to build a new life. Unfortunately, she had only about 3 weeks left to live after her return. Until her death, Katya and her new lover often communicated. On the day of her disappearance, they exchanged many loving messages. On the night of February 5th, Ekaterina Bauman vanished without a trace. Only 2 days later, Walter contacted the police, claiming that his wife had run away from him, leaving their daughter behind, taking a suitcase and 15,000 euros with her. The search of Katya lasted almost a month and was very difficult. Almost the entire city was involved in the search operation. People went out to comb the forests and outskirts. Walter also joined the search, but he seemed completely apathetic. He was cold and even indifferent towards his wife, and strangely, he started doing repairs in the house. The police only searched this house after 3 days of Katya's disappearance. That's why the first search didn't yield the desired results. There was enough time to get rid of more evidence. During the first search, an electric stun gun and a knife were found in Walter's car, but there were no traces of blood. Walter explained this by everyday needs. The search continued. On March 1st, 2022, a suitcase with garbage bags was found on the river bank. On the same day, Walter was detained by the police just a few meters from where the suitcase was found. Walter said he was just taking a walk there, but shortly after, he was arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. Walter remained silent and refused to testify for 11 months. The fact that the suitcase was washed ashore was actually a stroke of luck. It could have floated into the North Sea, and then the case of Katya's disappearance would have remained unsolved forever. Perhaps when Walter found the suitcase on the shore, he went there to check if it had washed ashore, but he was caught. After the arrest, the police organized a second search of Walter's house, which proved to be more productive. Officers found a bottle of strong sedatives in the kitchen cabinet, which were later found in Katya's blood. In the garage, they found acid, solvent, and bleach, which Walter had previously ordered online. Investigators also noticed that there were almost no personal belongings of Katya's in the whole house. Her wedding dress was hidden behind the piano, and her personal effects were thrown in the garbage. Forensic examination revealed that the girl was killed on February 4th, 2 hours after dinner. Traces of anesthetic diazepam and alcohol were found in her blood. Ekaterina died of suffocation by her husband's hands. The girl fought for her life until the end. Bruises on her right hand spoke of this. After her death, Walter, to make sure she was dead, hit her several times with an electric stun gun. Professor Dr. Benjamin Andruska said that the body was dissected very professionally, with very sharp instruments, in quotation marks, talented incisions. Could this indicate that Walter did not commit the monstrous crime alone? Analysis of data from mobile phone operators showed that Walter and his mother called each other 9 times from the time of the murder until the next morning. The report showed that the mother-in-law traveled long distances that night. Surveillance cameras on the street near the couple's house at 12:41 a.m. captured an unrecognizable person. However, it was very difficult to identify him due to poor image quality. After the criminals got rid of the body, they set about destroying evidence. He threw away Ekaterina's clothes and did a general cleaning. He took his car to the auto shop and told the workers to wash it thoroughly. Soon he allegedly started repairs. When his computer was checked from the beginning of December 2021 to the end of February 2022, the following search queries were found: how acid works, when death occurs from sleeping pills, are lie detectors allowed in court, how to thoroughly clean the car interior, and many other terrifying things. On the day his wife disappeared, he Googled information about an electric stun gun twice. In October 2022, on one of the days of the trial, Walter's 60-year-old mother claimed that she was the one who killed Ekaterina and that her son was innocent. During her story, although she described everything in detail, there were many black spots and mistakes. The prosecution deemed the accusations false and released the woman. Could this be related to the fact that the mother wanted to sacrifice her freedom? Walter's last word lasted 7 hours. He read his notes on pieces of paper. The word provable was often found in them. By his own admission, he was provably a good husband, provably a great father, provably the best worker. He described Ekaterina as a very happy wife because I was able to save her from all problems, and he claimed with folded arms, she was my princess. On Tuesday, May 23, on the 44th day of the hearings, the court sentenced Walter Bauman to life imprisonment for murder. Ekaterina's 5-year-old daughter unfortunately lives in a facility for traumatized children where she is carefully walked with by doctors. For her protection, her name was changed. According to a child psychologist, the child is developing well. The girl is healthy and intelligent. In Russia, Ekaterina's grandmother, her mother, remains. At the moment, she is working with a lawyer without whose participation it is impossible to formalize guardianship of the child. Ekaterina's parents helped her with the transportation of their daughter's ashes to her homeland. Having lost one child, the elderly people now want to save the second one, their granddaughter, and live together in St. Petersburg. Our video has come to an end. If you want to see more interesting content, subscribe to our channel and press the bell to not miss the new release.